Hey guys, how are you all doing? Well, Comics Companion is back today with yet another comic book review. So, the book that we are going to review today is a DC book and it's called Batman Three Jokers. Now, the reason I've chosen this book today for a review is because we've got the absolute edition of this book released last week, and I'm not really sure at this moment whether I would go ahead and buy the absolute edition, but I'm very much interested in doing so. So I was not able to make up my mind, and I thought I'll, probably pick this book up and go through the story once again, read it, and try and figure out if the story was good enough for me to, go for an upgrade and probably buy the absolute edition. And while doing that, I thought, why not, pick this book up for a review video as well. So, all right, let's talk about this book. So, this is a DC Black Label book, which basically means that it's outside the DC continuity, the main continuity. However, it's not always the case. There are times when certain elements or certain plot points of any of these DC Black Label books are incorporated into the DC main continuity. So just keep that in mind. Also, these books are generally aimed at a mature audience. The stories have dark themes in them, and more often than not, it has mature content. And that's the case with this book as well. So, as you can see, this book is a standard size hardcover, which basically means it's the size of a trade paperback of DC or Marvel. However, it's a hardcover and it's also got a dust jacket on top of it. So we'll talk about the build of the book first, and then we'll look at the internal artwork. We'll talk about the story a bit and what was good and what was not so much. So yeah, as you can see, the cover has three Jokers, as the name suggests. There's this DC Black Label logo here, the title, and then the creators at the bottom: Geoff Johns, Jason Fabok, and Brad Anderson. At the back, we've got this image of Batman, then the synopsis of the story, the ISBN, and the price. And this is how the spine looks. I'll remove the dust jacket and show you how the book looks from within. So we've got these flaps on the dust jacket. So this basically has an image of Joker, and here at the bottom it says who are the Jokers, and this one has a biography of the creators: Geoff Johns, Jason Fabok, and Brad Anderson. Now let's have a look at the book. So this is how the book looks like. Again, the face of Joker on the cover, the front cover, and the face of another one of the Jokers on the back cover. This is not a wraparound cover. It's got two different images on it. This is how the spine looks. Now let's open the book, go through the artwork, and talk about the story. So the story is written by Geoff Johns, and the story is basically about three crimes which have been committed in Gotham City in one night at three different places, and Joker is the prime suspect of all the three crimes because there are eyewitnesses who have seen Joker commit the crime. Now the mystery here is, how can one Joker be at three different places and commit three different crimes at the same time? Now it's up to Batman, Bruce Wayne, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and Red Hood, Jason Todd, to solve this mystery. Artwork has been done by Jason Fabok, and you can see how beautiful the artwork is. Majorly there are these 9-panel grids. Look at this splash page. I mean, artwork, I would say, is one of the highlights of this book. And let's not underestimate Brad Anderson's colors. I mean, the artwork on this book wouldn't have been looking as gorgeous as it does without Mr. Anderson's colors. So full marks to him as well. So yeah, coming back to the story. Well, the story is not as simple as it might have sounded to you when I told you what the story is all about. It is about the three jokers, yes. It is about a mystery, yes. But at the same time, when you reach the end of this book, you'll realize that there's much more to the story. Also, there's one thing I would like to mention here. This book has a lot of references to a previous book of Batman, which is The Killing Joke. So, if you've not read The Killing Joke, you might not be able to enjoy this story as much as I did, or anybody who's read The Killing Joke would do. So, my suggestion for you would be to read The Killing Joke first and then read this book. It'll be also better if you have read A Death in the Family, another one of Batman's stories, because there are references to that story as well. So these are the two books which, if you have read earlier, you will have a much more enjoyable time reading this book. Also, while reading this book, I keep thinking about The Killing Joke because the artwork of this book is a lot similar to how the artwork of The Killing Joke was. That was by Brian Boland, obviously, but there's a lot of similarity in the way the figures are drawn, the body anatomy, the facial expressions, and things like that. Now, this book does have some very intense moments. There's a lot of violence. There is some gruesomeness. There is brutality. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's mature content. Now, there's a funny thing about this book. When I had purchased this book, and that was approximately a couple of years back, I was quite intrigued by the title and the cover image. And, while purchasing this book, I had a perception of what the story would be about. But when I actually got this book and when I read it, I realized that it was nothing like I had thought. However, it was still, kind of satisfying reading this book and, reading this entire story. When I had bought this book, I thought it would be about the three jokers and Batman trying to figure out probably who's the real joker, and it would be more of a murder mystery kind of a thing, which it was to a certain extent. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, when you reach the end of the story, you'll realize that it's much more than just figuring out who the real joker is. And probably that didn't even matter as to who the real joker was, because the story took a new direction once we reached the third issue, because this book is a compilation of three issues: three jokers, 1, 2, and 3. So it's a three-issue miniseries. Just look at the artwork, beautiful. And this book doesn't have a lot of text. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of dialogues. So you can see there are a lot of these pages wherein there's just frames and the artwork, and that's pretty much it. So a lot of storytelling has been done via the artwork. If you look at these two pages, for instance, so there are 7 panels here and 7 panels on this page, but none of these panels has any sort of text or any dialogues. So here as well. So that's pretty much the pattern throughout this book, and that gives you an opportunity to appreciate the artwork even more. And here's this big climax towards the end. Look at this coloring. So this entire sequence, this entire action sequence is happening around a big fire, and that's why there's this yellowish theme. All the images, all the faces, uh, you know have a yellow shade, and there's this background which is yellowish in all of these panels. So brilliant coloring as well. This book has overall 160 pages. The pages are better than some of the DC trade paperbacks. I mean, They are thick, and the page quality is semi-glossy, I would say. It's not really matte, neither is it entire glossy. So semi-glossy kind of a feel to it, which is pretty good, I would say. So overall, this book is not what I had thought it would be, but it's still a very satisfying read. My one-line review for this book would be, it's not Geoff Johns' greatest work, but it's a good enough story, and Jason Fabok's artwork and Brad Anderson's colors make us appreciate this book even more. So yeah, you never know, I might end up purchasing the Absolute Edition. And if I do that, I'll try and do an unboxing and overview of that book as well. There are not too many extras. So yeah, here the story ends. Then we've got the biographies of the creators, a couple of, more than a couple actually, variant covers, and that's pretty much it. This book is available on Amazon as well as Bookswagon, and when I had bought it, I had bought it for 1500 if I'm not wrong, but currently it's going for 1250 or 1300, something like that. I'll share a link in the description of this video. If you wish, you can purchase it from there. So that was my review of this book. Let me know in the comments if you've read it and how did you like the story and the artwork and the coloring. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself and bye-bye.